Shall we begin?
Can you hear me?
So it begins. And now it begins. So it begins.
And so it begins.
Shall we begin?
Shall I begin?
Shall we begin? Shall we begin? Shall we begin?
Way to be trying to do something, and Angus has left. Now he's back. I was trying to do something to segue it, but Angus had left.
Whoops.
Left me surprised. You son of a bitch! You left me alone. You son of a bitch. Yes. Welcome everybody. Welcome. We are just beginning this journey of my vacation, where I'm watching 20 films. I'm going to try to watch 20 films. I don't know if I'll be able to do all 20 in that time, as well as stream each interaction, each one that I watch. But last night, Angus and I watched Pig, starring Nicolas Cage. Does everything sound okay?
Yeah, sorry. For a minute, you were coming through like my mic was shot on my speaker, but you sound fine now.
Okay, yeah. When you muted, it sounded like there was gremlins in the microphone. It was like,
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know if it was you or me. I'm like, what? Oh my god!
I hope it's not. I hope it's not me this time. I'm in a new location. I'm in my sister's place, but
You're my sister.
Should be all right. No. But yeah, so I've got a whole movie list. I'll even bring that up here so y'all can see what I'm trying to knock the heck out here. And started with Pig, starring Nicolas Cage. That came out. That was a 2021 release, right?
Yeah, it just released last month. I found it because of Red Letter Media reviewing it, and I'm like, oh, what is this? And there's sterling, very minimal spoiler review. Really wanted me to watch this. I didn't know like ending or main parts besides the premise. And that like they really appreciated like the pace and the payoff, and so I didn't see the trailer first. I saw this, so I knew that from the trailer people thought this was going to be like John Wick. And there's an I guess story element that like is a setup like John Wick, but it's definitely not a John Wick movie. But it is. I think the other comparison is that Keanu is kind of a joke actor at that point, and so him doing Wick so well was like a resurgence, and Nick Cage has kind of become a film joke despite having won an Oscar, having nominated and whatnot. He's become a joke actor with some of the crap he's done. So this is kind of the same with this film, where it's like, oh wow, he did like a real character work here and really sold it. So those are the two elements that are like John Wick.
Yeah, when it's like when you said hey, want to watch Pig? Add that to your list. I was like, what? I was like, I had no idea what to imagine when he said that. I was like, is they gonna slaughter pigs? Or are they gonna like screw around with pigs in some weird way, like make human into a living pig? Like what is this? I have no idea. And so then when we were watching it, I was like, oh my god, that's Nick Cage. It's done very well, very calm start. I feel like the whole pace throughout was pretty chill. Like it was like it's a nice chill pace the whole way through. There wasn't any super. The moments got tense, which was surprising. And Nicolas Cage, like, I don't even know, because he's been in so much stuff. I mean, I don't think it matters that a lot of them were wacky, because I'd just say he's a hard worker if that's the case. I don't know. He would get into any film and do whatever he could in those films. and I mean, in the last two that I've seen of him, Willy's Wonderland and this one, his acting is like, he has a really good range of between serious and comedic, whether it's on purpose for some of them or not. He does really well.
Yeah.
Surprised me. Like I could see him in a lot of different roles after watching Willy's Wonderland and Pig. Nicolas Cage, like, he's becoming a really good actor that I want to see do more stuff. Like,
well, I forgot about this, but I'm reading about him again on Wiki. He's part of the like Coppola family, so he's from a film family already. So that's where he's gotten his chops early on to get in. Yeah, he's been nominated twice. He's won once for Leaving Las Vegas, which I haven't seen. I'm talking about Oscars, so.
Right. But yeah, so anybody in the chat that comes in and watches this, let us know what you thought about Pig, or if you saw it, or if you haven't seen it, what you thought about it before we start talking about it, because it just seems like, you know, especially if anybody knows that it was starring Nicolas Cage. I mean, a lot of people jump to conclusions when they hear like an actor's name sometimes, and I was not. I was expecting once they. I mean, no spoilers really. It's like they took it just, you know, we can spoil the movie. That's fine because we're talking about it. But like without spoiling it so far, they do steal a pig. They steal his pig. That seems obvious, I think, with the plot here. And you would think it's going to go John Wick style, or discover that he's this awesome fighter of some kind. And it's like, no, he isn't. I really like that. Like it wasn't. That's subverting my expectations in a good way. It wasn't in some like, oh, we tricked you for paying attention. It's like, no, they just did something different than we expect based on what we see quite often in other films.
Yeah, well, it's funny because there is a moment or two of action in this movie, but it's like not at all like where you'd expect it. And it's kind of like the way they show it's like, that's whatever. It's just like this action is just like a little cog to get to the next plot point. And because it's like the personal drama is like the show, and I don't mean that in like a negative where it's like, oh yeah, the action just run the mill, and then we get to like people. Like it's a good thing, especially in today's age. Like we just saw Eternals trailer, and then watching this movie, it's like, oh my god, like I love Marvel, but they're just, you know, now I'm feeling fatigued with like for every Loki, there's like, oh, here's Captain Marvel, here's Eternals. It's just, you know, churning out mass product, and then you watch this movie. It's such a palate cleanser of like, this is a human story that should you should feel something when you watch this.
Yeah, and I mean, comparing it to Marvel and like other stuff that we see these days, it was a complete film in that I don't think there'll ever be a continuation or anything new to it. They could if they wanted to, but I hope they don't, because it's just a solid film. And it's like it's done. Like how often can we say that for films these days? With Marvel, they're never going to end. Everything's just leading to something else. Even if they were to end, they end trying to lead into something else. And it's like, you know, I like how it just was a solid movie.
Yeah, there was moments of tension I expected to go a certain way just because of kind of like when you see enough film, you got like presuppositions, you have assumptions with delivery, and this is a guy's first time making a movie too.
Who's the director again?
Michael Cernowski. His directorial debut with the critically acclaimed Pig, and that's it. He's from Yale University. That's his wiki.
Damn. Well, that's a great way to open his career. I mean, I'll say not just having Nicolas Cage in it. That was a good aspect, but I think the filming was done really well too. There's so few cuts that are like within a second or two. Like they, honestly, most of the shots are there for a little bit, and then they might change. Sure. Like when they're setting the table or something, they change it a little bit. But there was that one scene where we're both kind of looking. We're like, they aren't showing their faces up close. They're like the camera's just like sitting on a shelf essentially, watching them do their scene. And I enjoyed that. I was like, oh, you're not doing the typical back and forth or whatever, getting really close to them. No, but then in other scenes it does. But I think that's when it's supposed to make you feel a little more intimate with what's going on and a little more intense. Just and without that much happening in it, and they don't play a whole bunch of music as far as I could tell. Just on occasion, they'll have some music play during like a scene transition, essentially.
Yeah, I thought what was really cool, like probably the first time I paid attention and noticed this kind of thing was one of my favorite films, The Witch, from A24, where it's like they filmed it in a certain way to make the trees seem like taller and like imposing, which is like an element of the film and its like setting and tone, and so like having that kind of film language watching this movie, like when you transition where it's like you get his life in this cabin in the woods. It's like one room and a bed and like just the essentials, and he truffle hunts with his pig, and that's like his buddy pet, and then like you go to the city, and it's just the way they filmed it. Where it's like he's crossing the bridge. It's like this is like the concrete jungle. This is not his element. Like this is for like they filmed the way like you kind of feel from his perspective. Like that was cool.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and also just when the film starts, it's a slow start, but it's also it doesn't take too long. It doesn't linger, but it's there long enough to see him do his day to day, and they're not in a hurry to rush into the action point or the I forget what's it called when they kick something off in a film like that, like where the plot gets moving. I forget what that's called. There's a word for it. That kicks it all into action. That that happens naturally enough. It seems you're with this guy a little bit. What was it?
Introduction. That's all I can think of.
Well, no, because they're playing the film and then like, the inciting incident or something.
Okay.
That kicks because the plot doesn't start until he goes out until the pig is taken, and then that's where he goes into trying to find the pig and stuff. But yes, I don't know, and it doesn't. He doesn't say that. He doesn't have that much dialogue throughout the film. Still, he does talk. I guess comparatively a bit because he's the main character, but he's not over. He doesn't have too many lines, as far as I can remember. There's not that many memorable lines, but it's like they're effective. Like it's because it's Nicolas Cage. You expect him to be this zany guy, and he does do a couple of Nicolas Cage things, but it comes off in a serious way that's still funny. I don't know, like when he there's a point where he's a little angry and he steals some guy's bike, and then just I don't know if it's that guy's bike or just some random guy walking on the sidewalk. He just turns to him and goes ah, and like just that's it. And it's like we don't know if that was like supposed to happen, if that was just a guy passing by or whatever. But he yelled at him. It was just kind of funny. It's like, what was that for? I don't know. Oh, okay. He's pissed. We know that based on what we're seeing there. It was just great. And the whole time that we're following him, yeah, I'm expecting this reveal that Nicolas Cage's character here was some ultimate badass warrior from before, and just went out to the woods by himself. But no, he's just like he was just the town chef or something.
It was superb. He was the chef of Portland. What you gather, it's like, say you're with me. It's like, like he just goes like, fuck off, and it's like, I'm with this guy. It's like, yeah, come in. Like,
like he has so much well-known respect and street cred. Even being gone for like 15 years, he's still like his name is still very well known to people. People somewhat recognize him, even though he looks very different. Like that's.
Yeah, I'm very surprised there was not a cutback scene of any point. Like I was waiting for like clean shaven, like probably like actually filmed after the main stuff, like shaves and all that, and you got like a scene with like in his past either as a chef or with his wife or something, or maybe like the origin of his like he got his pig. And no, like there's so many ways this film with the wrong person could have been completely different, and this guy nailed it, especially a first-time director. Like this is very comparable to The Witch in that regard, because that was a first-time director debut too. So I'm just flabbergasted. Like, just think what this guy can do with money.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too. I wasn't bored. Like this type of movie isn't what I want to watch. Like this is not what I would seek to watch. But I have the whole time. You and I were watching it together. And usually we do crack more jokes or talk a little bit more, but we hardly said anything. There was a lot of silent investment in the scenes. We're just like, I want to hear what's happening. I want to, even if there's no dialogue, I don't want to ruin the silence. It's worth listening to the silence. I don't know how to explain that. It's just like effective, very effective.
Yeah. It's only a 92-minute film runtime. And like they got every ounce out of that. It didn't feel too long, even with a lot of the quiet in that movie. It's just like straight through. There was a couple times where I kind of predicted stuff once we you gather enough where you can kind of like, oh shit, like you're paying attention. Like, I think this is what he's gonna do, and it's like, oh, I was right, But I think it could like totally surprise people. For the most like normies, to give it a chance, it's gonna surprise people.
Yeah, I agree, and I mean, I could just keep on gushing about how well they do the film, but I mean, Nicolas Cage himself seemed intimidating, like in like a real way. Like he was just an intimidating type of character to the people that he was talking to. He's just like, "Where's my pig?" and doesn't really say that much, and then it says a little bit more dialogue. And the guy, I loved that. I think my favorite scene was when he was talking to the chef, to the other chef at that restaurant.
Yeah, the kind of fraud chef that he fired years ago.
It was like a super fancy restaurant, and he's like, "Hey, can I speak to the chef?" And he gets the chef, and he was like, "Oh, hey, hi, what's up? We got some new stuff coming to us. It's gonna be great and whatever." He's like, "Got new truffles." It's just like, and then he starts breaking them down a bit. He's like, "All these people, but they don't know you. You don't know them. You're nothing. They don't exist. You don't exist." It's just like, oh my god, like the way he's doing this is intense, and like I don't want to say a word to interrupt him. Like it was just done so well, and then you see the chef who's got this super perky attitude, like really, he's a fan of this famous chef Nicolas Cage here, and he's like breaking down, like, oh my god, he's like getting a little nervous.
He deconstructs his whole core of his existence.
Yeah, he makes him completely shatters his world, like some spy would or something, that knows how to interrogate people. It was done so well. And then he's like breaking down. He's like, they pay me. It's this is tough. Oh, it's just like, oh my god, dude, that was good. Like, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I guess I would want to compare that to like Inglourious Bastards. To the opening with the Nazi. Yeah, that's the other type of scene that comes to mind, where it's just a very slow, it's quiet, they're just talking to each other, there's not much else happening, but you even see too, like when they're take a sip of their wine, he chugs his wine, and Nicolas Cage sips it all fancy, like, "Yes, I got you, I'm a chef, I know what I'm doing." And the other guy's like, "Oh my god, this guy is scaring the shit out of me." Like, that was just done so well. I don't know. This may sound weird to just be gushing over something, because we're used to easily crapping on stuff, I guess. But like, I don't know. I got nothing but praise for this film right now, and the fact that it's so quiet. It's just them talking for the most part for most of these scenes. Like, they're not adding in music or something all the time. I appreciated that, because sometimes I just there's an overabundance of noise in a lot of films these days, and it was just like pretty chill and just helped improve their intensity. Yeah.
There's a couple of times like with that chef I expected to go, just because of all the films you've seen, you expected to go a certain way, and it's like, oh no, they played it straight through, and it was more effective that way, even though there's like some tension. And like, you want to get to spoilers now?
I feel like we've kind of been spoiling it a little bit with describing some of these scenes, but that's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
When he's like essentially interrogating that chef, he's so tense and stuff, and you just kind of expect him to like shatter the like wine glass and cut his throat or something, in his rage, and he never does, which is surprising. Like, I expected, some payoff like that, and it's like, oh no, but you actually get, and how it ties in, where it's like this kind of circles back to the whole like start of this, because it's actually like, I guess to backtrack a bit, like Nick Cage is a let me log in on my computer because it's up now. So 1 minute.
Okay, that's good. But yeah, I mean, like what he was saying, there's a lot of we're used to seeing a lot of certain scenes go specific ways based on other films that we've all seen, where when there's two people talking and they're silently going about it, and like there's a buildup that usually leads to some type of outburst from the one that's interrogating or the one that's receiving it. Somebody will usually break down and go, okay, I did it, or it was me, or they go, yeah, they end up killing them or fighting or something. And it wasn't any of that. It was just a chill, like acceptance type of scene or something. And it was like, that was satisfying to watch without there being this huge, intense, aggression at the end of the buildup. It was just like a calm fizzle out. That was good.
Yeah, like the film starts quiet and it's just like him searching these truffles, which I guess are like exotic mushrooms out in the wild, like Portland area. And so you see like his world is day to day with this pig, and that's all he does is hunt truffles, clean, make nice dinner with his pig and feed it after he eats, and goes to bed and just recycles every day. And then like his pig's freaking out, and then he gets hit when they barge in and they steal his pig, and they like hit him with a bat in the face, so he's knocked out. So he comes to and he's like journeying to a diner and he's like, hey, is she here? And it's like, she's been dead for 10 years. And you're like, oh, so you really get early that like he's not just like some guy out in the woods, like he's actually been gone for a long time that he doesn't even know about his contacts. And you got this kid who buys the truffles. He thinks he's fancy, so he's trying to be like a top dog and have like the nice clothes and the hot car and stuff. And you learn early on this guy's like a poser, that he's like trying to be bigger than he is, and you learn why because of who his dad is later on. And that's what I was gonna say is like when you get to that scene with the chef that he's interrogating, it rounds back into the kid's father as like this kind of like emperor to this whole plot. And it's not just a Nick Cage story of like him and his journey with this loss, but it ends up reflecting on the kid and having more of like a father impact than his own dad in certain ways of like bringing him forward in life in some way. It's like an epiphany or something for him, some sort of revelation to his life. And I was just really interested with all that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I really recommend that people watch this film. It's one in our sphere that I think would easily go under the radar, that people would just, whatever. It's not punchy. It's not, I don't recognize many of the people in it other than Nick Cage, it's, I don't know. Do you think, people in our sphere would like it? Well, so a lot of people didn't like Willy's Wonderland, to my surprise.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, this is very different. I mean, it's indie, but it's a very different film from that. That one's meant to be like wacky and utilize Nick Cage for that. Sorry, I feel like I got a sneeze, but it's not coming yet. This one does the same with like the name recognition of him and the range of like what kind of performance are we getting. There we go. I think that definitely helps, but I think just if any actor delivered the same way, I think it would get some street cred and get talked about. But his name really helps elevate the talk about it right now, as small as it is still.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that it gets a little more popularity in time. I feel like it won't be that popular right now. I mean, with Red Letter Media doing it, like you said, I don't know if. I mean, that's a good point. They're big enough and influential enough that their review on this indie film could really boost its numbers. Where it could be a lot shorter. Like you watched it and I watched it basically because of them, essentially. So. Yeah,
let me see. Their video right now from 3 weeks ago has 500,000 views, so it's been seen by quite a few. Let me look at the ratio. It's got 27,000 upvotes and only 300 downvotes, so it's a good chunk of people that have at least listened to it to get an idea. So that's positive. I would really love to see like what the schematics of like, oh, thanks to this movie has gotten more viewership. The
I
box
wanna-
office is 3 million.
I
I don't know about VOD and stuff. Like we rented it, so
I'm hoping that the director, really, hones his craft here and doesn't go some schlocky way. Keeping some type of, maybe it doesn't have to make ones just like this, but you know what I mean, like keeping the quality up, or at least the film style or something. Because that's it. I do like how the filmography was. It wasn't super, cutty. It wasn't super shaky. Like when they're just showing shots. Sometimes they do this a lot in films. I think you pointed it out, where they'll just have somebody obviously holding a camera, and so it like slightly shakes just watching somebody walk. And it's like in this, no, it's just a calm, still shot. People are walking. It zooms a little bit or pans slightly. It doesn't need to, be janky.
yeah, I don't mind like handheld camera work. It can really, even though like someone's holding camera for the scene, like it does add an element. I really like this because like a few weeks ago I saw Old, and it's like 50% a Shyamalan movie, but like I really thought it was very provocative and interesting concept, pulled from a graphic novel, and he did his own twist for the ending. But it's been a nice little. Those two films this year have been a nice little like change of pace with the status quo. That one, of course, got a way more name recognition with the director to be seen, but it still feels like indie, like a real pure director's vision kind of movie. And I was looking up the IMDb of this guy. He's an editor and director known for Pig 2021, Fright Night Legacy 2012, and Olympia 2012. So that he hasn't done much, but I mean this will really take him forward, I think, at least drama wise.
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, what I was trying to make a point is I guess the holding still slightly shaky. It can't. I've seen that so often in so many films that we watch. It's like it's just nice to see it, some calm film, some calm filming that isn't always, the camera's moving at all times, type of thing. It's like a little. I don't know. In a way, it's like okay, I can chill watching this. It's not. I don't know. Still a little different, I guess, from what I've seen, because I haven't seen too much, guys. So to me, I'm not used to it. I guess I'm not used to the slower pace of stuff all the time, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not an indie art house guy necessarily. Like I haven't seen too many art house or indie films, and I don't know if I would like all of them either. But I like this one. Yeah,
I really want to watch The Witch, of course, and It Comes at Night, because like story, I get the like fan character problems with Last of Us Part 2 from what all the stuff I've heard about the story, but at the same time, I love It Comes at Night, and that story of Last of Us sounds like really pulled from that movie, and so it's a slow film too, and it's very like anti-blockbuster. It goes against most of your preconceptions with those kind of scenarios, like this one with the kind of rough John Wick outline that this story starts with, as like the impetus, the conflict. And yeah, I'd love to like experience that with you. Like those are a couple slow films like this that just a really good palate cleanser of the everyday. I really liked Suicide Squad. I like it more the more I talk about it, but it's still a cog of like, well, we own all these IPs, what can we like throw on the screen for money, and like it can only say so much compared to, besides like Joker or Logan, pretty much no superhero comic movies ever going to like really just like say something. Or
most of them feel like a film by committee that's just, we just got to make them, and it's like, well, that's great, but can you have anything else layered with it a little? Okay.
Another one's a bit more action packed, Drive with Ryan Gosling. It's another good one.
I will watch that too, but I think this is actually Pig. I think was actually a great start to this little journey that I'm going on, because the next ones I wanted to watch, what I thought I was going to start with was Citizen Kane and Casablanca, because everybody always recommends them, and I'll give them a watch for my part of my 20 films I'm going to watch, and those are far older, and this one is very recent, but it's also very slow paced recent, so I think it's a good ease into the oldies in a way.
Yeah, I can definitely see this movie getting memed in a way of like, the couple in bed where she's looking like, I bet he's thinking of this chick. And it's like the guy's actually thinking about like the dumbest things,
Yes.
where it's like she's worried about him cheating. He's just like thinking of whatever, like, oh, like something about a transformer or just anything off the wall. It's a funny scenario. And I could totally see a meme about like Pig in that vein of
Yeah, I bet he's thinking about some other girl, and he's like, Nicolas Cage lost that pig. That's so sad. Like,
yeah.
that sucks.
Oh, dude. Okay, yeah. When, so with the kid, what's cool is like the kid's kind of an ass. He's trying to be big shot like his dad, who's well established in like, I guess being a supplier or being like this kind of overlord of all these different like restaurants and shit. They're supplying stuff, exotic stuff. The restaurant that Cage goes to is like, it's very fancy. You got all these like hipster fancy people, and they're like the waitress has got like this bowl thing over the top of the plate, and like these are deconstructed scallops and this and that, and it's in like a smoke, blah blah blah. And like Nick Cage just like his dirty hobo looking self grabs it with his hand, eats it, and then he smushes another one. He's like, I want to talk to the chef. And you're like, it's such a contrast. And when you find out that like this whole pig plot has been because of the dad, he tries to buy him off, and he like, you think he's reclined to just accept it, but he's like, gives him a shopping list, and you're like, what is this gonna be? And I figured out like, oh my god, that's gonna be the dinner that the dad and his wife had, that his son remembers they talked about for years, like that happy moment of their apparently very violent or hostile marriage. Now she's on life support, and you assume brain dead, because they have like one clip of the son going to visit his mom, but he doesn't go in, and it's like, well, I'm going to clean her trach, and it's like, oh, like that was a good twist. And getting to that point where the dad has the dinner, because he's kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, make me dinner, whatever, and then he eats it, and he's just like breaks down because he remembers, because Nick Cage remembers all of his guests and what they ate, and then he tells them like what happened with the pig, and he just like breaks down, but they cut to like no sound. He just watch them break down. It's like that was very effective.
Yeah, there's no sound, no music. It just cuts to him as soon as he hears that. Just
I was like,
watching him react, essentially.
That, well, it's funny too, because I just like last week I was talking about that one video I watched about Boys Don't Cry, this like essay about male fragility and what's allowed in film, what they give you with that, emotions and stuff. And it's kind of an SJW slant, but I still appreciate the overall like breakdown of all sorts of different films for context. And this did kind of fit in that moment, even though the whole film is him kind of like either tense or just, you could tell he's like distraught about this. And yeah, I don't know. It was, it leaves you wanting more like details. You want to see like a flashback with his wife, what happened. But that's
Well, doesn't he play a cassette that has her voice, the last words or something?
Yeah, she made him a tape of "I'm on Fire" that she sung for him.
Yeah,
and like when the film starts, when he has the pig, he's going to play it when he gets new batteries from the kid, and then he tries to play. You hear a little bit, and he like stops her. It's like it's too painful. You can tell it's too painful for him to actually like go through. And then when he comes home after the whole ordeal, he's, I guess, advanced in some way. Emotionally, that he can like accept what is, because he has a point before that when they're at the diner, and he's like, if I didn't ever search for her, then like she'd still be alive in my head.
Yeah, well, and that couples to the point too that the whole time you're thinking, we're all thinking that he wants the pig. They make it clear that the pig is what finds the truffles or whatever, finds the good stuff, like the best trained pig ever, essentially. But that's not even essential to his job. He finds them. He knows how to find them himself without the pig, using the trees and stuff. But he just loved the pig, and that was the one bit left from his last relationship or something, and just didn't want to let it go. The whole journey was just to find the pig. And it's like, wow, like, and the kid himself was like, why do we just do all that? It's like, I love it. And it's like, damn. And then it's gone, so you can't do anything about it. I mean, you gotta move on, man. You gotta try. I mean, it's such a simple thing, and that kind of thing happens. That kind of journey happens a lot in films, but I really like how it's done here.
Yeah,
it's very subtle, like, the way it was done. It's just like, subtle but impactful.
Yeah, like, of course this is all a fiction. You assume that like maybe a real story like this has happened, or there's like fragments of stories with like human pets relations like this that have an impact. Of course, like Marley and Me is a really good long form life experience in the film of him and his dog, but this is just like one little, like, all right, you get a glimpse of like their life together every day, and then he's trying to find it. And I don't know, I definitely can see how to say it, like, oh, if you can only have a love like him, that man and his pig, No,
right? If only. I mean, that's loyalty there. I mean, usually it's like, the lengths that, an animal will go to try to save its human, lengths this dude will go to try to save his pig. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, I don't have that much more to say about it. I mean, I just say go watch it. Even if you listen to this and haven't seen it yet and you've heard all this, I still think it's worth watching just to see how it's done. I mean, this was a good example on how to show things happening and to make the scenes are so intense without them. It doesn't feel like they're trying hard to make it intense, like in a lot of films we see. They try to make it more like, oh no, there's a lot of pain in the scene physically or something. There's they're scaring them in some ridiculous way. It's like I'm gonna use a Snyder Cut as an example, like when Batman and Joker are having their stupid exchange. To me, that scene was so unconvincing of anything, of like intensity compared to this. Like, I don't know, I didn't feel anything in the Batman Joker scene. In this one, it's like,
oh, I actually thought it was intense. I thought it was cool because it's like,
I will fucking kill you. Believe me, I will. It's like, dude, I don't know. I don't know. I actually it wasn't intense to me. It's like you're trying so hard to sound tough, both of you. And it just seemed pathetic to me. They're not. Nicholas is not trying to sound tough. He just is saying what he's saying, and it's coming off intense. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny going back to the beginning. Like once he starts like his journey, so he tries the diner, and it turns out that woman's dead for 10 years this whole time. So then like he gets a ride with like his truffle buyer. And he takes them to like this other person he buys truffles from, and they got like more of like a group business. And then it's like he's like, I'm looking for a pig. And it's like, yeah, a truffle pig. And they're just like instantly like, oh fuck, like we're gonna get to the bottom of this. It's like, shit, like,
yes.
there's so much more in this world that you're like, wait, like
how is this so big?
You want to know, like, more about, like, this is what's cool is like it's a very it's not just like, all right, go point, but like you get a context, like there's just way more around this web of this one linear story.
Well, and the fact that he's so far removed, but he's still very well attached or involved, even if he's not there, like with the truffle stuff. Like he provides them their truffles essentially, right? Like, even though he's not the main chef anymore, he still contributes in some way.
Yeah. Well, okay. The other thing I meant to say, like, we can talk about the kid more, and like I'm gonna get your take on him. But with the father of him, what do you call it? Like there's a real like contrast because he says something about like what you had was great, you know, it was a moment and it's gone, but like you left when it was done, you know, and
Yeah, you left when your prime was over before
like Barry
or
Sanders.
overstaying your welcome. Like a lot of athletes these days will stay way longer than their prime would allow.
Yeah, and he's like, you left it like a peak time, and you left your mark, and instead of like fizzling out, and it's like most people never even get that, and but that reflects because you realize you get the perception of like what a hard asshole the dad is from the kid, and how that affects his attempts to be like a tough guy in business. Contrasts with like multiple times you see him like trying to like prep what he's going to say. You're going to do, I'm a big shot, I'm this, you know, or listening to classical music where it's like a voiceover. It's like, this is like highly esteemed music, and it's been relevant for 200 years and will be relevant for 200 more years. And you know, like this is the top of the top. This is what smart people listen to. And he's got to like reinforce all these ideas about himself instead of just being who he is. And then you contrast with like he's like trying to get a reservation at that restaurant, and he's kind of a pushover. And he's like, "Oh, come on, I'll do this. I'll pay you half off," you know. And he's, you know, folds really quick under like the pressure.
He's like desperate to be relevant.
Yeah, and you see his dad, like he just is this guy. He's tough, and but you get like with the context of all that, with like, you know, you learn like Nick lost his wife years ago, and it's like it's clearly the impetus of him just becoming like a fucking mountain man out in the woods. Versus the dad, he's like trying to hold on to any little shred. However chaotic the marriage was, he can't let his wife just die, because the kid's like, I don't know why dad just doesn't let you die. You know, and he's trying to like prep talking to his mom, but he can't like go into the room with her. And so then you realize like, oh, like this is the ultimate contrast. Like with all the power he's got, he's still trying to hold on to something that's gone by keeping her on life support, versus like Nick has found a way to move on, however desolate and remote and fractured he is after the fact.
Yeah, well, like the dad was trying to talk about how powerful he is. He's like, look how powerful I am. But like he's so fragile and weak on the inside, really. It's just all clinging to what he had, essentially. And it's just like, well, like what do you what is that to you? That's, you know, and he got brought down by a dinner, essentially.
Yeah, he has chicken.
Like instead of some ultimate fight scene that's gonna happen or some huge showdown, Nicolas Cage made him dinner, and the guy broke. Like, to put it simply, to oversimplify it, that's what happened.
That scene, we were talking. I'm like, oh my god, this is like Ratatouille. This is like when the critic fucking like his life gets wrecked because he got brought back to when he's like 8, and his mom made Ratatouille, and he's a poor little kid. You know, it's like nothing's ever topped the feeling he had of like, with all of his esteem and, you know, food criticism and his high standing, and how he can wreck a restaurant with like a bad review. Like this little rat, you know, put him in his place with a simple peasant dish that he remembers from his mom, and it's the same kind of element. So that was like a kind of funny thing with like meta referencing of like, oh my god, they just did Ratatouille to this guy, but it's like a totally different tell. Like that one's like, oh yeah, you like knocked him back to childhood with this dish. Like you're so good. This one's like, I'm so good at what I do, I will like break you with the memory of this dinner.
The dad has a little outburst. He's like, get out of my house. And I think he's going to punch him or fight. But no, Nicolas Cage just stands there, and the guy is there. And he's like, I want my pig. And it's like, no, that's when you learn that it's gone. And it's like, damn. So both these two, you know, got to let go.
Assholes on Wikipedia, whoever made the like top abstract or like intro blurb before I actually read like plot, cast, etc. It says American drama film co-written and directed by Michael Cernosky in his directorial debut. It stars Nick Cage, Alex Wolff, and Adam Arkin. It follows a truffle forager whose beloved truffle finding pig is turned into bacon, and they have it like capitalized bacon. Like it's like I don't know if exactly that is. It's like what what.
It's a very comedic spin on the title. Essentially, it's not very. It sounds like it. Yeah, that will make you think. Oh, so it's John Wick, but with Nicolas Cage. It's like no, not at all.
Yeah, like it's funny that like it's so hard to like make something new in film with all the things that everyone has done is doing, and for this to like follow that baseline and do something completely different and a totally different like experience. Like that one's like gun fu, like long shot stunt work. Like it's a masterful film in that kind of regard. And this takes that same concept and like completely does something different and does it so well in its own right. And it's like, wow, like nice,
Yeah, well put. I mean, yeah, I don't know what else to say about it now.
I was going to ask you, like, what did you think of like the overall like storyline with the son, and like where do you think he is after this? Like what do you think their like day to day is after the fact?
I'm not sure. I mean, I liked also when they were showing him with the sound cut out. Nicolas Cage reacting to the pig's death. A lot of that scene was on the kid watching him, essentially, like just silently watching him break down like that. Both his dad and this guy, both these two men that are very held in high regard to society that he's around, and he works so hard to try to gain. But these people, even these highly esteemed guys, have weak spots. And I don't know. I have no idea what will happen with the kid, but I would imagine that after witnessing all this stuff, it'd be tough for him to go back to how he was, to be the beggar, essentially, the desperate one. But I don't know. I feel like he would not follow his dad's business type of thing, truffles and all that. He'd probably follow his own path. I forget if they mentioned that he wanted to do anything else.
Yeah, it seems very much he's in his father's shadow, and that he found a niche with the truffles that he kind of inspired this, and because it's taken off and his father took note, he is permeated that into the Portland food industry because they're trying to like reinvent just local crap. Most people are going to go to restaurants to try new shit, but they're like, we're like reinventing local ingredients and deconstructing them and making the familiar foreign. And it's like so it's like without his son, his father would never been like keyed into like, oh yeah, let me start like really tapping into this market and taking a big foothold.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know what will happen with the kid really, but I mean that I like this kind of film where it leaves you kind of wondering. And there's so many spots where, like, if I were to cut out and not see the rest, I'd be curious. I'd be that guy in the bed thinking about it. Like, I bet he's thinking about other girls. I'd be like, no, I'm trying to wonder, would he take the guy's money or get a new pay? What would he do here? Would he kill everyone? Would he kill everyone on a killing spree, or like you were thinking, like he's going to bring down this guy's whole corporation or something? Like somehow, it's like nope.
Yeah, like when he typed in the phone his list, I thought he was going to like network and be like, oh yeah, like you've built this empire with all these restaurants.
I made all the connections. Like,
but it's like we have like a code, so like I'm gonna like. I was going to pretty much like tell them about him and like ruin his influence on the business and like bring him down with the collective of restaurants. Like even though they're all competing, they're all like in it together at the end of the day versus like influencers. That's the twist I thought was going to happen. And it's like
which that could have also been good, but I'm glad that they went for this with this film, I suppose.
Yeah, at that point. When he walks out of the house before he makes the list, I thought what was going to happen was from what I got from other media about like, this is about loss and, moving forward. It's kind of like what they said. like dealing with loss. I thought at that point he was resigned to take the money, whether he got a new pig or not, to just like I thought the last third would be like him navigating that. And so that was a good twist with kind of being led on a certain way to assuming.
Yeah, again, it's literally like the great example of subverting expectations properly. It's not insulting you for thinking what might happen. It's rewarding you by giving you something different that also tastes good. You know, I don't know how else to describe that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. And the other thing, like after you get the list, I thought maybe he was going to like come out of restaurant retirement and just like pop into a restaurant and like shock the world again in Portland.
Yeah, be like I took over Portland, now the world. Something like that. Something like that. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, and so that was funny.
But no, I mean, just thinking.
One thing. Okay, the one like just off the wall shit in this movie is like the underground restaurant fight club. Like, what was?
Oh yeah, I forgot about.
That's the action piece I'm talking about. Like,
I didn't actually understand.
Like
I really didn't understand that at all. Really, that part was the only thing, and I was confused.
When you look at the plot synopsis on Wikipedia, so we can make sure.
I actually was kind of confused on that. Right, I just thought it was a way to make money. I don't know.
All right, so he reaches out to Amir, who helps him locate a group of impoverished drug addicts suspected by another local truffle hunter of being the culprits. They claim to have given the pig to someone from downtown Portland. Rob and Amir infiltrate an underground fighting ring run by Edgar, an old acquaintance of Rob's, who provides another clue. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was like, I think Rob said something about it's like all the like restaurants have this like fight club thing that they go through, like the old Hotel Portland basement that's like sub basement, whatever, that's hidden. And so, like, I don't even know what they're competing for exactly, but like,
well, it just sounded like you take punches and you make money. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like
you last a certain amount of time, or you take a certain amount of punches, and then you make money. I guess people bet. Well,
I
don't know.
The first guy hits 10 seconds and he gets like $500, and so you're like, okay, like I thought he was going to do this to get so much money to buy the pig back or something. And then I mean, because the father offers him $25,000 to pay off for the pig, so it's like if like he's more invested in like paying off someone to keep the pig, there's clearly more than $25,000 to make off the hunting of the pig. So
yes.
So yeah, the first guy that gets punched is like 10 seconds gets $500. So then Rob goes for over a minute, getting just like punched in the face by this little midget guy, and I thought it was gonna be like it was just like for a clue, because this guy, I guess he's lost respect for him, and so he goes like longer than the actual round and gets his clue, and that leads into the restaurant the next day.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that was the one off the wall, and that was like the one besides the abduction. That was like the only other action in this movie, and that's why I meant like this is like a plot point to get to the next plot point. Surprisingly, because usually it's like we lead into the action moment.
Well, it's a good intriguing thing, because it's like a restaurant fight club. What? Like I'm trying to imagine, like, I work at Subway. Like, oh yeah, we go down and we wrestle, we beat the crap out of each other on Friday nights. I don't know, honestly, with our Subway ring or something,
This kind of shit is what I hope like Rick and Morty gets wind, like the creative team gets wind of this movie and like does a pig episode of like underground like Subway, McDonald's and shit, like beating the fuck out of each other, or like some UFC.
Mm-hmm. How do you think the employees can handle customer service with all these stupid plebs? You need to be strong, and you need to
like, sure,
build
you
the
can
camaraderie.
Can you take a punch to the face for 5 minutes? Like,
exactly. How does this help my job? Shut up, bitch. It does. Okay. But what was I going to say? I think I was just going to reiterate, like, just how like he's dirty. He's a filthy old man the whole time, essentially.
Yeah,
but nobody really comments on it. They look at him a little bit, and then they're like, some of them seem fearful, some of them seem nervous, some of them seem a little surprised, some of them seem, like, oh, okay, this is like nobody was really like, hi, Rob. It's just like, he's back. Why is he back?
Yeah, no one's ever like, hey, buddy, and no one's ever like, oh my god, like who let this guy? Because like he stands out so bad in the restaurants. It's like so pristine and overly white and clean, and he's like this dirty bum in like I forget what he called like the long johns he's wearing, and like his dirty clothes and his gloves, and he's got like blood all over his face from like getting hit.
He doesn't really clean himself off from his fights. He just goes to the next scene.
Yeah, and there was something I was gonna say. Okay, that one scene, like this is what made me think there's going to be even maybe at the end of a flashback like payoff scene of like maybe his memory with his wife or something, or the pig early on, the piglet or something, because he goes back to his old house and like he goes in the backyard and there's like a kid on the back porch playing with like some little drum xylophone thing, and he ends up like, and I was waiting for someone to be like, oh my god, get away from my kid, you hobo, or like it never happens. But he's talking about like his persimmon tree used to be there and it got cut down, so it's just like more old wounds for him.
Yep, just more things, future moving on, the past disappearing, future's taking place. It's just such a very somber, but like, it's not in your face to me. I don't know. Again, I haven't seen too many films like this to be able to really compare. I mean, for me, this is pretty good for this kind of thing.
Yeah, when I was a kid, like middle school and then like teens, whatever, my stepdad used to go to this family therapist. Sometimes I would go like during the summer if I was in school, and so sometimes it'd just be like me or my mom talking to this guy mostly. But he one time, this is only the time I've had like any therapy, like someone recommended a movie, and it was I think regarding Henry Harrison Ford film where he's like this hotshot lawyer or some shit, and he's very kind of vapid, and then he gets just coincidentally goes to get cigarettes and he gets shot in the head during like a attempted robbery of the store, and so he's like brain injured now, he's kind of like a retard now, and it ends up like helping his marriage because like he actually starts like connecting with his family again. So it's kind of an emotional payout for that, and you also watching like him like rehab and stuff, and because I'm interested in psychology and like part of me wants to go back to school and actually get my degree and try to advance to like master or doctorate, and like I could totally see this being like if people watch it like, hey, like you're going through loss or something, like watch Pig. Like this is my assignment for the week till our next session. Watch Pig. Because
I don't think it'll make you sad, or I think it would help a little clarity a little bit about moving on. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a very therapeutic film. My stuff going on in life, so it's like I felt some stuff watching this. And he broke down like if they lingered more, I probably would have started bawling because I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too. They linger on scenes, but it doesn't feel like it's dragging. It's like it's really making you feel what's going on and just going with the flow. But
there's one funny scene where I'm like, we're watching that one scene with the baker, and they never change the angle. It's like away. You're just watching.
Yeah, it's like on a shelf or something in the corner.
Yeah, and he asks, like, does she still make this, like, salted baguette? And he's like, you got a loaf? She goes, well, and then, like, she offers him, like, this, like, cookie or something, and he, like, grabs it. He takes two. I'm like, oh, one for his piggy. And then, like, he gives it to the kid. So it's like, there's, like, an emotional breakthrough there, because before it's like, I'm done with business with you. Fuck you.
Yeah, he's kind of treated the kid like shit the whole time.
Yeah, like he's
really giving him the cold shoulder the whole time.
Yeah, and I was like, "Aw, like that was sweet." He's opening up and relating, and he before the restaurant, he has that little breakdown with his with the kid through like at his house at the French toast and then at the restaurant. He's like, your dad sounds awful, you know?
Yeah. But dude, like I might want to just, after this, just watch that restaurant scene again where he's breaking down the chef. Like that's just a good scene there.
At first I thought the guy was Brian Lape, Channel Dad Lape. I thought that was him for a minute.
Hey, you got to roll.
Wait, is Brian Lape in did you go to Portland for that? Like what?
That would be funny. Like, oh wow, you're in a good scene. You're in like one of the best scenes.
He's got glasses, and I'm like, is that Lape? Like
that would have been great. It's like, dude, you're in one of the best scenes of the film, dude. That's great.
Let me see if I can find the cast of that real quick.
I feel disappointed that I don't think a lot of people will watch this. It's like,
well, we're doing
again the title. I thought he was gonna eat a pig sloppily or something at some point. Like, I'm eating a pig. I'm pigging out, or like I said, like slaughtering things. Like I don't know. I just thought all these other more gruesome avenues for the title of pig because I didn't know anything about it. And yeah, just a very good, surprising film there.
Let me see. I think it's this guy. Let me see.
Yeah, so if you didn't get the picture yet, guys, watch this fucking film.
Yeah, it is a visceral experience, especially if you've got any lingering loss issues with a person or life event or something. I highly suggest this is therapeutic.
You pull up the guy or something, or?
Oh, I'm just looking on my phone. I was trying to find.
Oh, I thought you were going to show it. But okay.
Well, because there's one guy, his credit says Skinny Cook, but I looked him up and like there's no picture of him in Pig, so I'm like,
yeah,
maybe that's not him. Maybe he was just like a background guy in one of the other restaurants.
Yep, but I pretty much got all I wanted to say about it.
Yeah. I know I've seen Adam Ark in the Father. I know I've seen him in other stuff. I'm just like, where? So he's been in Hitch. The Sessions, I've seen that, but I don't recall him in it. Lake Placid, like when's he's like a mid-range, long-term big name actor, I guess, but nothing's really standing out. I'm like, oh yeah, like I remember him in that. So I'm kind of lost.
Yep, I don't know.
But yeah, definitely check it out. 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, whatever ranking it gets the max.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd really criticize about it, to be honest. Like that's the first time I don't know what I would criticize.
Yeah.
So if there is any,
this is what I'm talking about, Ricky. These kind of films, you add this helps your criticism with your range of knowledge. This is going to be a film that you're going to be like, this is a high bar. So then you're going to see a film that attempts some kind of plot or emotion like this. You're like, well, fucking Pig did this like 20 years ago in 2021. Like,
true, very true.
It's going to be like your Casablanca or something. We're like,
yeah, this film, you gotta watch it. Fuck you.
We'll see. We'll see.
You're gonna become that film snob. Like, what was that one comedy from the '60s you said you watched?
Father Goose.
Father Goose, yeah. You're like out of nowhere, like, oh, Father Goose. I'm like, what is this, Ricky? Like, fucking hipster.
Yeah. Again, I think you'd love that one too. Honestly, well, and it's like I don't care if I spoil a little bit of it for you because it's just because it's like it's a very underlying thing that isn't very clear right away, and it's only mentioned like once or twice. But like the girl, without explaining the context, the girl and him are on this island, and they're both kind of drunk, but the girl's more drunk really. And he's like, okay, well, you're not gonna remember this anyway. He thinks she's about to die because of a snake bite, and he's like, I was a teacher, and he was making fun of her for being a teacher earlier and whatever. But they're like, what? She's like, well, why didn't you do that? What? She thinks that he's wants to drink all the time and be on his own because of a relationship. But it's like, no, he was a teacher, and he ended up leaving because they kind of wouldn't let him come into the building or something. It was very esteemed, and you had to have certain necktie and uniform and whatever. And he's like, I don't want to do the necktie. I don't want to be like all of them, saying the same things, doing all that. It's the classic, I want to stand out type of thing. But I don't know. I like the way that they presented it there. And he's like, so I went my own way, and the world wants to be at war. I don't give a shit. Just get out of my way or something. It's kind of a, he's the non-conformity, I suppose, but it's not in such a blatant way that they do nowadays, I suppose. Kind of like that. I wasn't expecting that to be like his past at all. So it's like, okay, yeah, it wasn't, some girl left me or something. The other films would do. But anyway, any last thoughts?
No, I'm just wondering what the next film we're going to watch. Are we going to watch Her next?
For our little thing that we do, probably. I still got 19 other films to watch before my vacation's over. I will toss you links, Angus, but if you're not free for some of them, that's all right, because I gotta watch these and give my thoughts.
Well, it's a good thing you get. I'd rather have too much to watch and anticipate than too little, because some of these movies I've watched this year, it's like, might as well. What else is on? I've seen everything.
Yeah, I'm like, I haven't seen anything. I have plenty to watch. Yeah. So everybody, go watch Pig. Stay tuned for more stuff coming up, and we'll see y'all later.